Hey guys, PJ here with Exotic Car Hacks. Sorry, I was having a shitty wrap from Starbucks. If you're ever going to have a wrap that wants to taste like diarrhea, don't have one from Starbucks because they taste like diarrhea. But anyways, today we're talking about the new G63. I just bought this thing, and before one of you jackasses on the internet says, dude, the Exotic Car Hacks guy is gonna lose his ass on a car, I'm gonna have another bite of my diarrhea sandwich. But for those of you that like ASMR, listen to this. There's one sick, twisted fuck right now that's watching this. Stop laughing. JT's always laughing. He fucking always cracks up on my videos. There's one sick, twisted fuck that's like watching some hooker have a pickle on YouTube and be like, oh, it helps me go to sleep. Just look at yourself in a mirror. What were we saying again? We were talking about this, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, we're talking about the G63. This is a 2020. I just bought this, and basically end of review. I just bought it, it's cool. No, but it's really actually interesting because you've seen me review the other one, which we're gonna bring in a little bit and do a comparison next video. But in this video here, we're looking at a very special 2020 G63 in Designo Magno Bronze, basically. So it's like a bronze color. It's got a sick fucking interior. I mean, absolutely insane. It's got the saddle interior with the black wood and the carbon everywhere. It's got the G manufacturer package. And it's super fucking cool. It's got the better wheels, which these are the best factory wheels they have. It's got the black brush guard, which to me is a must on a dark Magno color. And it's really the best of what I consider to be probably one of the hottest and best spec G-Wagons on the market. It's a rare color combination. It's got the right features. And it's quite expensive. The sticker on this was $190,000. The average sticker on a G-Wagon is like between $160 and $175. So this was an expensive version of the G-Wagon. And I always said the better the specs, the more likely you get your money back at the end, because more people want this and there's probably not another used one for sale on the market, which would be pretty cool, right? These cars are right now selling at about 20 to 35 over sticker, like depending on where you go. And it's a lot of money, really, because now you're paying Urus money, right? Like low end of the used Urus market for a G-Wagon. And it's above sticker for used. So you start questioning, is it really worth it? And I think that's what it comes down to with the new G63. We know that the G63 at 150 grand will probably be one of the greatest SUVs ever made, especially this new one. But the question is it really worth 200 plus grand when you get in the Urus category? And what do you really get? How much better is it than the old one? So we know they've improved a lot, but today on the review, we're gonna look at that. And before we do, I'm gonna take another bite of this. All right, guys, so the first thing you'll notice about the G-Wagon, and we're gonna talk about this car in detail because there's definitely a lot of important things, but the first thing I'd like to point out is that someone at Mercedes actually figured this shit out. Because they put two cup holders right here. Now, you know your shit is awesome if you just spend $250,000 so you can have two cup holders up here. Because the old G-Wagon had a basketball net here and you had to pay $300 to buy a third-party aftermarket cup holder so you could have a drink in a fucking SUV. Made no sense. But now, someone at Mercedes started wondering, how is it possible that we let this truck go by 20 years without a fucking cup holder? So, you know, I heard actually on Twitter one time that a German guy that was making G-Wagons was complaining that the G-Wagon needed to have a basketball cup holder here, and he was saying it's stupid, it's not meant to be. And he was like, well, you know, Americans and their drinks. I was like, man, listen, first off, 80% of the G-Wagon production comes to America. Because most Americans like loud things that are overly sized, that they don't know how to control. Yep, I said that. And they like to spend a lot of money for no fucking reason, because they usually can't afford it and they let the bank finance it, and then they lose money on it again. So that's why you should shut the fuck up and just take it and make your basketball cup holder. But now, someone at Mercedes listened to you too, my friend. Your voice mattered, and they said 2 cup holders for you right here. So we're going to spend the entire review talking about these 2 cup holders, because that's the innovation right here. But we're also going to talk about the fact that you can turn this car on and look right here and see immediately these 2 beautiful, large screens. And the one thing I love about these screens is that this car is basically an S-Class car, except it's in a very capable SUV format. And like I said earlier, this is the more modified and epic version of the car. So you're going to have things like the G manufacturer package here, the carbon fiber steering wheel. You're going to have the carbon fiber here, the cross-stitching, color match to the car, the ambient light, and all of these. And you have features like heated and cooled seats, Burmester audio. I mean, it's beautiful. Like, the craftsmanship is beautiful, it's very capable, and it feels like an S-Class with the old same Jeep feeling on the outside. But it drives more like a Range Rover. And I think this is what makes the G-Wagon so perfect now, is because we can all agree that previously we all saw the old G-Wagon and said, well, it looks like a fucking box. But then we said, well, it's an acquired taste. But then we said, well, it's very capable. And then we said, well, it drives like shit. And then somewhere in there we said, I don't know why, I just love this fucking truck. Even though it's a square, it drives like shit, and all of the above. And it's almost like the ugly chick you want to keep fucking just because she's a great fuck. Like, you want to keep fucking her, but really, reality is, at some point, you got to stop making excuses, you know? And I think with the G-Wagon, what they did here is that they really went to that next level, and they said, okay, how do we make the performance match the design and the feel so that people don't have to choose between loving it for its quirk and can just love it? And that's why I think this is the best SUV on the market, period. Because it's just as much the old G-Wagon, but it's just so much of everything people wanted the G-Wagon to be that they didn't get out of it. Like, you have the same ambient light you get in the Urus that really makes the Urus dash pop. You get incredible craftsmanship. You get incredible technology. You get all of these things, which is amazing. But look at this. Stay right there. I want to show you this. Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this. It sounds exactly like the old one. And you know what's crazy? The doors don't open themselves when you get near it with the fob. It doesn't automatically recognize it. And you still sometimes miss it like the old one. So it's still a truck. But yet they fix one thing, for example, on the back, where before you had to slam this, and now you can just close it normally. And this was one of the most annoying part of the doors. So while everybody was okay slamming doors, they weren't okay slamming this because you had to slam it so hard and it was annoying. So you got in the car and saw that it wasn't on, and so on and so forth. But they just really they left the quirk, but they took out the problem. They left the design, but they enhanced the feeling. And I think that's what makes it so amazing. And that's what I love about it. Now, I want to point out a couple of things that I think you're going to just notice about this car in general, which when we do the comparison, it's much taller and much bigger than the old one. And it's got a lot more of that futuristic tech modern look, so it doesn't look like an old Jeep. From the factory, with a good color combination, it's just perfect. It has 10 times the presence of the Urus. It's got 10 times the features and coolness factor. It's not a Lamborghini, but I've always said one of the worst things about the Urus is how ugly it was. It would look like a cheap Audi, but it performed great and it was fast. This is fast, but it's not that fast. So the Urus is much faster. But this is great because of one key reason. it retains what made the G-Wagon so amazing, but it adds to it by allowing people who previously didn't like the G-Wagon to actually now appreciate it and be able to enjoy it. And you know who that person is? I want to tell you this because before you didn't think that. Your wife. Your wife will love this G-Wagon. And that's something you didn't hear a lot of before unless your wife was a redneck and she liked the Jeeps. So before, if your wife had any elegance or class, she would be like, I want a G-Wagon. Then when she drove a G-Wagon, she was like, you're a horrible husband for buying me a G-Wagon. Especially because you probably bought me a G550 and you should have bought me a G63, but you were too poor. So now she wants to replace you with a rich Persian guy. And that bothers you a lot. You know, inside you have that hate, so you're gonna leave a really mean comment. And honestly, I probably don't know your wife unless she's super hot. I might know her a little bit, but realistically, I don't know her. So just don't send me death threats. But remember, if for any reason your wife previously hated this, she's going to now love this. And it's something you're not going to find in a lot of SUVs out there, because here's where the Urus had an issue. You see, the Urus had an identity issue. Like, it had a huge identity issue, because if you own the Lamborghini already, then the Urus sucked. Now, if you own a Lamborghini already and you have one of these, it's fucking awesome. So it's not just good for some people, it's now finally the baller SUV Mercedes deserved to let its customers get. And that's why I think it's the best fucking thing under 250 grand when it comes to SUVs on the market. And so there you have it. That's my key review. Unfortunately, I'm not Doug, and I'm not going to give it a score, and I'm not going to talk about the 5 things I love or hate about it. You know, use Google, figure that out. If you know you want a $250,000 truck or you can afford one, you already know you want one or not. What I am here to tell you is really my impression from the perspective of someone who's had all these new SUVs, and I even have a new Defender on the way, and I'm going to be able to tell you really what makes a great SUV from a car enthusiast standpoint, and more importantly, as I said before, an owner standpoint, because I've been driving this now for 1,000 miles, and I really, really am enjoying the experience a lot. But there is the final thing I want you to know about why I think it's, even though the biggest improvement in the world, still has a little bit of an issue compared to the old one, is that I love it too much, and I care for it too much to just park it anywhere. And so it does create this paradox again of, can it really be used as a daily driver? Can you afford to really not give a shit and park it anywhere, have someone dent it or hit the beautiful paint, and so on and so forth? All of these things and more come to mind when you look at this. But other than that, it is an incredible SUV. And before you guys ask me, I believe in the next 6 to 12 months, values will still hold strong, right around MSRP or more, depending on the COVID production delays. But I will say that eventually this is going to become a $150K truck, $160K truck in the next 2-3 years. And that's going to mean that it's going to be one of the best trucks on the market. Now, one thing I will warn you of, because many of you don't understand how car hacking works, if you haven't taken my training, click the link below and make sure you actually take the training and learn. But one of the things I will warn you about when it comes to values of cars, many people think that cars will follow suit in the older cars, such as if the old G-Wagon was 80, this is going to be 80 at some point, and it doesn't work that way. You have to factor in inflation, you have to factor in cost of money, and the opportunity of how many units are made and how the world is changing in terms of competition, and how many other SUVs are on the market at the time that can compete. So there's a lot that goes into car hacking. That's why you need the training. But otherwise, this is the SUV your wife deserves. This is the best SUV under 250 grand on the market. And my top pick is one of the most awesome cars of 2020. There you have it. Like the video, comment below. I'm gonna make some or hate me. And I'll catch you in the next video of Exotic Car Hacks.